Hello and welcome to the Lulu Story podcast, where style meets soul. This is a place for you to be inspired on your own journey of becoming and self-expression. Through conversations with inspiring women, we will uncover what it is to truly show up as yourself and the tricks and tips to building a wardrobe and style you love so you can feel at peace in your skin, be visible, and thrive as yourself. And on today's show, we have the most incredible and inspiring Asta. Thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And where style meets soul is such a beautiful tagline. Oh, it's beautiful. I love that. Thank you for having me on. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, I had to reach out to you because I have been absolutely blown away by, first of all, I found you through both our loves of Tibby, and you are somebody that's a brand that really obviously speaks to you, and I can't wait to dive into that. But what has been amazing is seeing you really take on Substack and, it obviously has become this real home for you of your self-expression, but your analysis of style is just absolutely incredible. So I had to get in touch with you. How are you finding the Substack journey? Are you enjoying it?
Well, first, thank you so much for saying that. That is very, very kind of you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I am really liking Substack. And it's just one of those things where I have been on Substack for a while because sometime last year I decided that I wanted to write a book about leadership because that's my day job. I lead a large team in tech, and I did not have anything more concrete than that. So I started a Substack and I announced on LinkedIn that I was going to be doing that, and 10 people from LinkedIn follow me on that journey. I wrote nothing ever, forgot all about it, and then started writing about style
Hmm.
this year and really got into Substack then, right? So in
Hmm.
the beginning, it was a little off because the people I was following were more in the tech world and the design world, like the user experience, product design world. So my experience as a consumer wasn't that great because the feed was completely different. But over time, now it has become a lot more about style and just, all of the kinds of issues that I write about. So right now, I found this great community and people like yourselves through Substack, which is my favorite part for sure.
It is wonderful for all the challenges that social media brings. I think being able to share ideas, find your people that are speaking a similar language. Thinking about language, tell me a little bit. I really want to dive into kind of your relationship with clothing, and how does your business world and your clothing, how do your clothes need to support your day-to-day work and what you do in the workplace?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And honestly, it has been quite a journey because when I went to college, I went to the best fashion design school in India. And I was studying not fashion design, I was studying product design or industrial design, but I was still surrounded by fashion because the school is called National Institute of Fashion Technology. So that is where like, you go to study fashion. So I was immersed in that world. And of course, clothing was a big part of how you show up. And I mean, when you're a teenager, you're still trying to find yourself. So you're trying to express, you go to extremes. That's what I realized that I used to ride a motorcycle. So I went to the extreme of I'm going to show up as this like tough person and I'm going to dress up like a man and nothing girly. I would have never worn pink, never worn something with like ruffles back then, right?
Hi guys, it's Lulu. Sorry for the interruption, but I think you might want to hear about this. On the 21st of September at 5 o'clock UK time, I am going to be hosting my biannual seasonal workshop. This is for you if you get to the beginning of the season and you're suddenly like, the weather's shifted and you're panic buying and you're thinking, what the hell did I wear last year? Then you're going to want to come to this. Whether you've worked with me before and you want to keep the good vibes going, or you're new to working with me, come along. I'm going to be showing you and inspiring you with what's exciting me this season. I'm going to be helping you go through your wardrobe with a bit of purpose and intention and making sure that you are figuring out what holes there are in your wardrobe. You're getting clear on the plan you need for the season ahead and being practical and prepared, very mature about what to get and how to wear what you've already got in new and exciting ways. So if you're ready to do a bit of the inspiration, but also make a bit of a plan, then join our community. The tickets are £25 each, or £8 if you want to become a paid subscriber on Substack, as it's free for those that are paid subscribers. All the information will be in the show notes, or head to my website at the What's On page at www.lulustory.com. Any questions, also send me a message. All right, back to the show.
After that, I came to the US for grad school, and it was a little bit of, it was just, it's the hardest thing I have ever done in terms of just time it took to get my master's degree and do my thesis. So honestly, I didn't focus too much on style. But what happened after that, I worked for a little bit in a small ad agency where I was just expressing myself and really just showing up however I wanted to. And it was okay because it was a creative space. Then I started working in tech. What happens when you work in tech is you're surrounded by, as you can imagine, men who are wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and the t-shirt is probably a free t-shirt that they got from work, and they're wearing flip-flops, especially in LA working in
Mhm.
tech.
Mhm.
So I decided, and they were really either afraid of me or just didn't know what to do with me, because they were all engineers. And here I'm a brown woman who was a designer. I was the first designer in our LA office, right? So it was just, just didn't know what to do with me. So I realized, and this was also part strategy and part fear on my part, I realized that I needed to extremely tone down my self-expression. So I started wearing jeans and a t-shirt and sandals, whatever, like flip-flops or whatever sandals, basically dressing to fit in with them. I did that for a couple of years. And then I had this other vibrant life outside of work where I owned a pole dance studio, and I had all these friends who were just vibrant and wearing colorful clothes. And we were going to all these parties with sequins and colors and just so much life and fashion and style. So I had two different wardrobes, like literally two different sides of my wardrobes. I actually remember just looking at my closet one day, and truly it was this moment of what the hell, like I need to merge these. And that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And that's when I actually started to merge the parts together. And
Mhm.
now I think 90% of my closet, maybe 95%, I will and do wear to work. And the rest is like maybe a skirt is too short, so I'm not going to wear it to work, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise I wear everything, both places. And how I show up at work now is one, I've just realized that it kind of doesn't matter what everyone else is wearing. If I
Mhm.
just show up as myself, I am in a tech office. I lead a large team. I am in a creative job though, so that gives me a lot of leverage too. But the other thing I've noticed is that you just need to be the first person to do it, because then others follow. Because now other people have started dressing up and they have told me that me doing it gave them permission to do it. So it was a cool accidental discovery that you might feel like, oh, you're the only one who is different. But maybe there are other people too who are feeling just like you,
Like
and you
that.
find your people if you
Mhm.
just take that risk and be the first one to go that extra mile.
I love all of this. I mean, I always say, don't dress to the baseline of the room.
Yeah.
Raise that level, step in and inspire. And I love that you've taken that kind of and run with it. I'm really curious about that moment 4 or 5 years ago when you were like, I've got to merge these two, I've got to show up as myself more.
Yeah.
Did you kind of just go big and bold to begin with, or did you slowly start to kind of, I don't know, try a new color combination or change a shoe up, or how did you kind of tackle that realization of I need to merge these and be more myself in the workplace?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I recommend to people that they start slow if this is a pivot that they're making. But I'll be very honest, I did not start slow. I was
Didn't
just like,
think I thought you might say that.
because if we're doing it, I also don't think I know how to start slow, because it was kind of like if I'm stepping into, because the decision point for me was I'm stepping into the reality of who I am and what I feel like on the inside.
Mhm.
So it wasn't so much about do I do it a little bit or do I do it a lot. It was just more about how do I do it. So it was just that, okay, I just have to be a little bit more like, I had this golden sequin blazer, which I wish I still had that. But I was like, okay, I don't want to start with that. And also, it was a little bit like I don't think I would still wear it to work. It's just like distracting. It would distract me while on
Yeah.
a meeting. I would just be like looking at my blazer all day. So, not so much, but I did just go big and go in with the prints, the colors, the shoes, all of it. Like, let's just do it. So, it was a pretty drastic pivot in some ways.
And did you find, because I think a lot of the women I work with would maybe get lost in their head and like overthink, am I making the right decision? Is everyone looking at me? And from what I've gauged from you, you have a lot of kind of inner confidence and belief. But did you find that you were caught up in any of those kind of overthinking your outfits, or getting what that person might be thinking of you?
In some ways, no. But in some ways, in little moments, yes, to this day, still sometimes, right?
Mhm.
Because I think it's
Yeah.
pretty human that if someone looks at you a little bit longer or makes a comment, then you hesitate a little bit. Now, I will say I don't get too many comments. Part of it might be just living in LA. Part of it might be that I am a designer, so people just think that I'm different anyway, like working with engineers.
Yeah.
But part of it is also, so I often get told at work that I'm intimidating. So maybe that's why I don't get comments. I'm like, that's great. If that is what works, please be intimidated. Keep your comments to yourself, you know? But I do get comments sometimes, right? So to answer your question, do I think too much about what are people going to think? Not so much. Because here's the thing. I am not trying to be like those people. I don't value their advice and their opinion on style. I just don't. They are brilliant, brilliant people, and I have so much respect for them. But when it comes to style, I don't care what they think
Mm.
because I don't want to look like them. So, one, that's why I don't care so much. But then I still do get comments sometimes. It'll be things like someone will say, your outfit is interesting. Because I did this Adam Sandler week and I was wearing basketball shorts with a blazer and a t shirt. So one of the engineers at work, he was like, your outfit is interesting. And I was like, yeah, I'm dressing like Adam Sandler for a whole week. It's so fun. So yeah, it's just more like that. And then I move on. Like, of course he doesn't get it. Who would get basketball shorts and a blazer? I get it, you know?
But I think that your point here, I want to really linger into it, of this. Be aware of who's giving you maybe the passive aggressive comment, or the eye, or maybe a direct insult. Who knows how forward they are, but be aware of who that person is and whether or not you respect their style and respect their
Yeah.
opinion with that. I think it's such an important point that often, and maybe it's a British thing, that people are a little bit more, I think people are a little bit more kind of caught up in worrying about fitting in and being appropriate.
Right. Right.
you know, it's just such an important thing to remember. Like, does that person even matter, in my opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very human, right? It's a human need
Very,
to
very.
belong. So you do want to fit in, but it's one of those things. I read this somewhere, I'm going to butcher it, but it was one of those things that said you don't ask for directions from someone that if that person themselves doesn't know where to go, where you need to
Mm.
go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's very similar in terms of style. Like the endpoint that I'm striving for, they don't know how to get there. They
Yeah.
don't care about getting there. So why would I ask them for directions? Why would I care about what they think? And it's fine. It's not out of because sometimes there is a lot of judgment about different people's styles. It's not so much about that. It's just like it's just different. It's just different. I don't want to dress like them. It's not about good or bad, but it's just
No.
different. So I don't
And
care
this is
what
the
they think.
this is the point of making it personal, that you understanding yourself and what matters to you, and why you're making those decisions is
Yeah.
so key. So tell me a little bit. Obviously, I didn't even realize you'd gone to fashion university. That just shows that you obviously had such an intuition and instinct for it growing up. Was clothing always something that was really important to you? Were you brought up in an environment where clothing was kind of part of the vernacular and something that was praised? And what was the relationship as a child and early teenager around clothes?
Yeah, it's such an interesting topic for me to think about because I would say no, but also if I think deeply about it, I'm like, maybe in some cases. I think just growing up in India, art and culture and clothing, dance, film, theater, drama, just the arts in general is a big part of your life, right? Like
Mhm.
there are big events, there are all these weddings. So of course you obsess over what are people wearing? Like what am I gonna wear? What is my
Mhm.
mom wearing? My mom had a beautiful collection of saris because she wore a sari to work every single day. And out otherwise too for like going out and stuff. She had this amazing, amazing collection of saris basically. So I remember that when I was not going to school and if she was going to work, let's just say summer break or something, I would just sit and watch her drape a sari because it was fascinating to me. One, she was really good at doing it,
Mhm.
and two, just like how quickly she like made the pleats and draped the whole thing, and this beautiful, all the colors and the fabric and the different kinds of fabric. And my grandmom used to wear saris in a very different fabric with big prints and florals and stuff. So my mom was a little bit more subtle because hers were for work. So there was this kind of like contrast and play with fashion at home that I grew up in. My mom really did care about her presentation and how she came across, especially because, being a woman in India and she was in a pretty senior role. So I grew up with just observing that. For
Mhm.
myself, I would say I wasn't that immersed in fashion and style, but that's because we had a school uniform. So most, like every single day, I wore the exact same thing. But at
Me
the same
too.
time, right? Like there are
Mhm.
nuances. Like how high do you pull up your socks? Right? Like, how long is your tie? Do you roll your sleeves when the teachers are not looking, or do you leave it? So I feel like there's something about wearing a uniform that teaches you about styling tweaks
Mhm.
because that's all you have. Everything else is the exact same. So there was that element for sure. And then
Mhm.
it was only after because I don't even know why I decided to go to a fashion school, but there was just something about it just seemed like the perfect combination of art, which I was very interested in, but also science in some ways. And I picked that route. But I would have never thought that I was interested in fashion before it became a thing, but definitely immersed in it.
Yeah, and I love that you know, I imagine, I mean, I've been to India once and South India to Kerala and just fell in love with, like you say, the culture and the kind of the vibrancy. It was quite an onslaught. I remember arriving and into Trivandrum, and it was just like I've never had so much kind of the smells, the sounds, the colors. Like it felt really and full on and amazing. But I can imagine that being around all of that and seeing all these women in different saris, everyone must have to know themselves well, like how to drape it on their body and how to make it really personal to themselves, which is what I really take from you is this ability to tap into, your unique style and how when you feel most comfortable and how to adjust things so that you feel like yourself.
That's such a good insight because even as I think about it, my mom and I have two aunts and my grandmom, all of them wore saris, right? But I remember because one of the things in India is when there is a wedding, you gift saris to people, like extended family even. So we would get saris often because someone is always getting married and extended families are large in India, right? So we would get four saris, and my mom and my grandmom would just sit and be like, this one is for this aunt, this one is for this aunt, this is for you, this is for me. Because even though they all wore saris, they all had their distinctive styles. That
Mm.
was really their signature style that it all made sense. It was like, oh, if it's a brighter color and a little bit louder, it's going to this aunt. If it's a little bit more grounded and subtle, it's going to this aunt. With my mom, it was a little bit more elevated and a little bit more like simple saris would go to her. The floral, big print saris would go to my grandmom. So there was always this idea of vibe of a garment and how
Mhm.
well it reflects the vibe of the person, which is probably because it's a piece of fabric, so that's all you have
Yeah.
to go on. It's there's nothing that's different in a sari except for that, basically.
So there was a real muscle potentially that was built then, because I think with a lot of the people I work with, I wonder if they're so caught up on the outside world and what's appropriate. Whereas I'm
Right.
hearing it's almost like it was a personal experience first, and obviously it had to match the occasion, but it had to start with you.
Yeah, I feel like this is like going to therapy for me. You're making me make these connections that I couldn't have done myself. This is amazing.
That
Let's
is
do
what
therapy.
that's one of my super skills. Yes.
Yeah, of course, amazing.
I've got to get to the why. Like, why is somebody acting like this? Or why is
Yeah,
it that they, why something matters to them? So for me, and I really want to dive into your style words, because I know obviously we both love Tibby, but years before Tibby came about, I was developing a style words method. And
yeah.
I actually do it through people's favorite objects. So I get
Ah,
people to find, because often, especially the people I work with, don't well, I have two extremes. I have people that come to me who know brands, who spend a lot of money on clothes but never feel like themselves. And I have people that come to me who really never developed that muscle that we were just talking about of your sense of style. So
yeah.
sometimes to kind of go, what's my style? It almost feels too personal. And we need
Yeah.
to kind of take a step away and we look at your favorite objects, your favorite piece of art, your favorite sculpture, your favorite throw on your sofa, and you just
Amazing.
describe those pieces. And when you start describing those pieces, you start to understand yourself through those items. So I'm really interested to know, do you have style words potentially inspired by Tibby? And if so, what are they?
Yes, yes. I have style words, and so my style words are chill, modern, commanding.
I love that commanding word. That's so good.
Yeah. I have actually a very interesting relationship with style words because, and I talk about this on my Substack quite a lot, but so when I went to grad school,
Hmm.
I studied graphic design. I got a master in fine arts in that. And we were methodology we would use for designing like posters and graphics was style words. I mean,
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
call them that, but it was three words, and you would think about three words before you start designing it because that was our professor used to say. Stuart was his name. That how else do you know whether a design is successful or not? And in his opinion, that was the difference between art and design. That a design has to communicate something. So he was like, you better tell me now, what are you going to communicate with your design so then I can evaluate later, is it communicating that or not? And one of the things he used to say was, don't pick obvious words, like don't pick linear. Because he's like, I'm just not interested. I know exactly what your poster is going to look like. I don't want that. Pick structure. That's better than linear because
Hmm.
structure could show up in different ways. So we used to pick three words. There had to be tension or contrast in the three words. He used to say, oh, that's interesting. Now I don't know exactly how the story is going to end. And that's going to be cool. So we used that. And then before discovering to be I had learned about before Alison Bornstein even. I had learned about style words through Ellie Jean Royden. I think she's a
Okay.
YouTuber. Yeah, and I had some words. It was something like it was basically like the Tibby style words are very close to my current style words. It was something like structured and relaxed and playful slash experimental. And then I found Tibby, and I was like, actually, this is just easy. But Tibby has chill, modern, classic. I don't like classic for myself. And I
Yeah,
went
me
through
too.
this discovery process and landed on chill, modern, commanding as the perfect combination of when I feel like myself is if I can express those words through my.
So tell me a little bit about how commanding shows up for people that don't know you and don't know your style. Um, like what have you been wearing in the last kind of couple of weeks that really gives you some commanding energy? Is it a color? Is it color combos? Is it texture? Or maybe it's all everything, but like what do you find when you're in an outfit that's chill and modern? What would help to take an outfit into commanding? What would you need to add or take away?
Yeah, yeah, such a great question. I think one of my favorite clothing items is a blazer. So that's a very easy one. I wear blazers so much, so much. I'm actually going to do a whole post on my blazer collection because it's my most well-loved item of clothing. I was just looking at my index. I have 24 blazers and I still have my eye on more. And they're
Tell
all different.
Can I jump in here? Can you tell people about, because there'll be a lot of people listening to this who have no idea what Index is. They probably, a lot of people don't even know what Substack is. Tell people about Index, and I'd love to know how it's impacted your words and how you get dressed.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. So my words, I already had them before Index, but Index has had a big impact on my life. So let me explain what it is. It is basically a digital wardrobe application. There have been many such applications in the
Mhm.
past. None of them, I tried using at least like five or six in the last 10 years. I
Mm.
have stuck with none of them till Index came along. And the biggest reason why is two. I actually think there are two reasons. One is there's a lot of data that I can get in Index. So I can see how often am I wearing stuff? What am I wearing most often? What is the cost per wear of each item? What category am I not wearing? Just the amount of data that they present is so much easier to get and so much more intuitive than any other app that I've used in the past. And the second reason is they have a social aspect, which is much easier than other apps. So you can open up your closet. You don't have to do it. But if you have opened up your closet, others can look at it, they can
Mhm.
style you can style them, which is just like it's just like a little fun thing to do. And you can also
Mm.
work with professional stylists on there, right? So it is now I will say it is not quite as rich as working one-on-one with the stylist. Like if because they're not going to help you with your style words, they're not going to help you find your identity, they're not going to help with any of that. But if it's something like, hey, I need to go to a red carpet event, or like actually in that case work with the stylist
Yeah.
one-on-one, say I need to go to a birthday party and I don't know what to wear, they can look at your closet and style something for you from your clothes. And it's just easy because everything is there, right? But I
Mm.
will say for me, even though social styling is one of the reasons why I really like it. The place where it has changed the most for me is packing. Because now I just sit on my couch because I travel a lot for work. I have to pack a lot.
Mm.
And I just sit on my couch and create my packing list in Index. So easy to do because all my clothes are right there. I can just create a packing list, and the actual packing then takes 5 to 10 minutes. It's just throwing things in there. The second one is shopping. So as an example, I was at the Dubai airport, and duty free shopping is always a temptation, right? So there's the Gucci store there. I saw these beautiful Brixton, like, I don't think they're called Brixton anymore, but a loafer, a Gucci loafer. It was in gold and it was so beautiful. And I wanted it forever. It was on duty free. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll buy it. Then I took out my Index. They have really good filters, filtered all my shoes by gold shoes. And I saw something else from Tibi. It's the Mikhail, which is a very
Oh yeah.
similar shape. And I was like, damn, I don't need these loafers. I have that. I ended up not buying them, so damn it. But it did save me money. So I do that a lot with Index now. If I'm out and about, I just look at what else do I have that is similar. If I have something, I just don't buy the thing.
It's so, so good. I haven't got into it. I think that's probably just because as a business, like running my own business, being a
Yeah.
mom, I haven't quite got the headspace for. I've just started, but I do think it's if you're somebody that can stick it out and you're not just a starter, you can stick it out. And I think if somebody, if you're, I think I'm also such a feeling person that for me,
Yeah.
I try and get more into data and that kind of stuff, but it's just not my doesn't numbers don't necessarily excite me the way that feelings
Yeah.
and connection and people do. But I do think it is amazing. And it's fascinating to watch people use it. And like I saw you styling someone in another country using it, and I just thought, what a fun way to connect with like-minded people. Because I think there's a lot of people who feel very lonely in their love of style and don't necessarily have other, their immediate friends maybe don't get it the way they do, and they don't have those kind of people to talk to. So I think it's wonderful to bring people together like that.
Oh yeah, that is such a great point. Yeah. It's definitely that finding that shared love of clothing and
Hmm.
style. I love that.
Definitely. So I want to know if you were to, you've obviously, I would be so excited to go into your wardrobe. I think what I would love is just the kind of contrast of pieces that you bring together. I love your big personality pieces, whether it's, the latest, the Tibby feather shoes or like you say, wearing a pair of like Bermuda shorts to work. But if something awful happened and you did not have your wardrobe or you got stuck somewhere, I don't know, but what would be the 5 pieces you would rebuy back into your wardrobe? It would be the first things you think, "I've gotta have them back in
It's a
my space."
A very interesting question because I mean, like, we just had the fires in LA, and I
I
know
know.
like two of my friends who lost everything actually in the fires. Yeah, and many coworkers, like 20-ish coworkers or so, so
Really?
heartbreaking. But it's like truly, you never know. Anything could happen, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not one who's very attached to things as much as I love them, but still, it's just so heartbreaking to go through. But to answer your question, 5 things I would rebuy. First, two of those things would be blazers. One, I would get a Liam blazer, so that's the Tibby oversized blazer.
Mhm.
Speaking of commanding, like what is there's just something that if a woman is wearing an oversized blazer, one, it's a blazer. Two, it is oversized, which means she doesn't care about like showing her figure or any of that. I just feel like that is the most commanding thing ever. It just says confidence. So definitely a Liam, probably in a navy. Then I would also get a more fitted blazer, either the Max, like Tibby Max blazer, probably, or one of their more seasonal blazers. Are those are really good too, a little bit slimmer fitting, just because then I have variety. And that one
Okay.
I would get in a warm brown color or something,
Yeah.
just so I that range. So those two. I would get a pair of pants. So I would get something wide-legged probably. So Tibby Stella pants comes to mind.
Mhm.
Triple pleat comes to mind. I would get one of those. I would get one graphic t-shirt. And the graphic t-shirt, I would get something that I deeply care about. So like Bollywood or Spice Girls. I was just looking at a
Oh
Spice
my
Girls
god.
t-shirt.
Were you a Spice Girls fan?
Oh my God, yes, yes. So good. So
Oh my god.
something like that, just something that's a little bit wild,
Mhm.
basically. And then the fifth, I would get a button-down shirt for sure, either blue stripes or
Mhm.
blue check. Because I feel like with these 5 items, even though it's only one pair of pants, I can actually feel like I can make so many
So many
outfits
outfits.
just with this.
So
Yeah.
many outfits. I think that's such a good place to begin. And I think if people are maybe at a place where either their body shapes have changed and they need to just think, well, I need to actually invest in the size that I am now and the shape I am now. Or I think I know my style, but I want to up the quality of what I'm wearing. That list is going to help so many people of where to
Yeah.
begin and where to start. And I love that you were saying about I'm a huge fan of like not using the word flattering. I
Mm.
was brought up in a society where flattering basically meant you don't look thin. And I always
Yeah.
took it quite personally when I was told that, and that, "Oh, it's not very flattering." It would really, really hurt. I find it difficult. I think that I love that you're saying that, when you've got that oversized shape and it feels like you and you feel comfortable in yourself, there is sometimes just that energy of commanding that you can then have. It doesn't need to be the piece itself. It can sometimes be the feeling that you get from wearing an item.
Oh, yeah. I think like truly that is key because I have two sisters who I love dearly. I'm very close with them. Their styles are very different from mine. So one is a little bit more relaxed, but like she doesn't wear any blazers or anything. The other one does wear what you would consider like flattering clothes, like more figure fitting, more like feminine dresses, that kind of stuff. But she looks great and she feels great. That is her. That is her. She's like
Exactly.
very nurturing. She's a very soft person. That is actually her. So I think it is so important. That's why I don't think it's not that this style is good and this style is bad. Fitted clothes are not bad, but at the same time, the expectation that everyone should wear fitted clothes is the wrong thing, right? To your point, that
Yeah.
it's to flatter being the only goal is kind of bizarre. There are so many stylistic preferences in the world. So everyone everyone should do what they want to do, but I think you find that alignment if you feel in your clothes how you want to feel basically,
Mm.
right? And for me, it's typically, and I wear plenty of things that are more fitted. Like the other day, I just wore a scarf top, and
Mhm.
what is more fitted than a scarf top?
Yeah.
But I felt great in that too. I was going out for brunch with my husband. I was like, this is perfect. So it's not that to be anti-flattering is my goal. I just want to feel, chill, modern, commanding. And if it happens to be an oversized blazer, that's great.
I love it. I love it. Well, I cannot thank you enough. I could go on and ask you so many questions, but I promise you this would just be half an hour. I am loving your Substack. Do you want to tell everyone where what to look for on Substack and Instagram so they can find you and find your incredible content?
Oh, yes. And thank you so much. So my Instagram is Asta Hearts. So that's AstaHearts. And my Substack is Fit Happens, which is, as you can tell, a pun on shit happens. I just thought it was very clever. So fithappens.substack.com.
Fantastic. I think you're wonderful. I think your style is incredibly inspiring. I know that following you helps me to also push my boundaries, and makes me think, you know what? Give that a go. Keep doing what you're doing. And I really appreciate you coming on today. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And you're doing such incredible work. Like, truly, I think this is what you're doing is my dream, honestly. And not so much in terms of like being a stylist, but more in terms of just helping women find their confidence. Because honestly, I'm sorry, and I know we're at the end, but just,
It's fine. Crack on.
one of my biggest purposes in life is to help women find that inner confidence that really all humans are deserving of, but women are robbed of by the society over time, ever since we were little girls. And style is one way in which women find confidence again. So for you to do that for so many women, you are just impacting so many lives in such a
Thank you.
positive way that I'm just deeply admire what you're doing. So,
Thank you.
so great. And continue to do more of that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I love what I do. And I think, as much as Tibby speaks to me, I would say maybe 70% of the women that I work with, that's not a brand for them. So, as much as Tibby has done for maybe potentially us and helping us to feel visible and at peace in ourselves, it's about connecting women who that's our brand that works for them into still having that same confidence and feeling and assuredness that they're making the right decisions and that they know themselves. I think so many women are self-denying, and I really want to help them to feel okay about loving clothes and feeling okay about, even if they don't like clothes, at least knowing what's for them. So I appreciate everything you're saying. Thank you, Brian.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. And thank you for having me on.